If you're going to be using Noctowl in Great League PvP, do you want to use the Noctowl that can beat Azumarill and Galar Stunfisk? Or do you want to use the Noctowl that loses to Azumarill and Galar Stunfisk? Didn't think so. If you want to know about these magical attack breakpoints and more, well, here I present to you the Noctowl PvP IV deep dive. Of course, as usual, if you want to reference any of this information in a text-based format, link down below to my article on GamePress covering this same exact information, but in a text-based format. And without further ado, let's talk about Noctowl. Before we get into the IVs, let's talk about some Noctowl basics. So what makes Noctowl cool now is because the Season 10 update. The Season 10 update of Go Battle League and Pokemon Go gave Noctowl Shadow Ball. Noctowl previously didn't have a way to really hurt Rock and Steel type Pokemon. With Shadow Ball, Noctowl definitely has a way to hurt them now. Is Noctowl a big bad meta pick like Altaria or Skarmory? Not exactly, to be honest. I feel like Noctowl is a little bit more on the spicy side. There are some jobs that Noctowl can do that they can't do, but I feel like Noctowl isn't going to be like a household name by any stretch, but still a very powerful and worthwhile Pokemon that you definitely want to have prepared for GBL. I guess if you think about it, one thing that Noctowl can do that they can't do is overcome Azumarill in even shield scenarios consistently and beat Galar Stunfisk when at a shield advantage. Noctowl can do it, they can't, but for Noctowl to do it consistently, it needs these attack breakpoints. And then finally, if you are in a meta where Azumarill and Galar Stunfisk aren't around, such as the Remix Cup, well then having the attack breakpoints are kind of meaningless outside a charge move priority against other Noctowls, and in those cases using a very high stat product Noctowl like the rank 1 Noctowl will probably be a better idea. So starting out with the attack breakpoints, the big attack range we're looking at is about 105.06 attack. With this attack, you can get a breakpoint on Azumarill, allowing you to overcome it in even shield scenarios, and you get a breakpoint on Galar Stunfisk, allowing you to overcome it when you're at a shield advantage. Now, when it comes to Azumarill, you'll see that the attack range is 105.06 to 106.66. The first one is for the rank 1 Azumarill, maximum bulk Azumarill. When it comes to the 106.66, that is for the maximum defense Azumarill. Chances are you're not going to run into the maximum defense Azumarill that is like really flavored in a really weird way, and for all the XL candy, chances are you're going to meet a slight defense weight Azumarill, making the reasonable attack cap here 105.38. And of course, you may not run into the rank 1 Azumarill all the time or anything close to the rank 1 Azumarill or the rank 1 Galar Stunfisk all the time, and therefore you could get away with having a lower attack stat than 105.06, but if you do want to have that consistency, then you're going to have at least that attack stat, and if you want even more consistency, you're going to want to have a 105.38 attack stat. If you are using Noctowl in a meta where Azumarill and Galar Stunfisk aren't around, such as the remix format, well then you really don't need to have this attack weight on your Noctowl, and for that reason building 2 Noctowls could be valuable. You have the higher bulk one for the non-Azumarill Galar Stunfisk formats, and then you've got your attack weighted one for the Azumarill and Galar Stunfisk formats, such as the Open Great League. If you're only looking to build one Noctowl though, as long as you have a 167 HP stat, Noctowl with a higher attack weight will have that advantage in the mirror matchups because of charge move priority, so that is something to think about. If I were to build only one Noctowl, I'd probably go with the attack weight, but building 2 Noctowls, one with that higher bulk, is a good idea too. Now, as far as higher attack weights are concerned, there were 2 matchups that stood out to me. The Shadow Machamp matchup with a 106.2 attack stat, you can overcome it in the 2-2 shield scenario. And once again, chances are you don't need that much attack because most Shadow Machamp are probably going to have lower defense. And it can also help out in other situations too, depending on what moves are thrown, how much prior energy you or the Shadow Machamp have. So it might not just be the 2-2 shield scenario. And then the other one is the 106.94 for Drapion, helping out in the 2-2 shield scenario. And this is assuming that Drapion has Sludge Bomb and it gets its baits perfectly. So depending on what Drapion's moveset is and depending on what moves it throws and which moves are landed and which ones are shielded, you could overcome Drapion in more scenarios too. Now this attack weight is so high that you will probably miss out on the defense breakpoints or the HP checks that I'm going to talk about in the next section, so it's not really advised to pursue this higher attack weight. But it is, I guess, useful to keep in the back of your mind. If you end up in a format where Drapion is huge and Noctowl's good there too, having a Drapion breakpoint could be useful, but I don't think this is the Noctowl you should build right away. Just something that you should, keep in the back of your box just in case. Now let's talk about the defense breakpoints. The general safe defense range that I found for Noctowl is about 117.58 to 117.86 defense. And this defense range encompasses, but is not limited to, Lapras, Galvantula, Obstagoon, Scrafty, Umbreon, Escavalier, Golbat, Swampert, and Trevenant. I could make a Pokérap out of the Pokemon that have an attack breakpoint in this defense range. Now, is it important for all these matchups? Not really. Like a whole lot of these even scenario type situations, the matchup isn't going to be flipped by having this defense breakpoint or not. But given the sheer volume of Pokemon that fall under this umbrella, like, do you really want to be taking more damage from them? To add to this, when I was doing like these big sweeping matrix simulations comparing different Noctowls to each other, I did compare the max HP Noctowl, and the max HP Noctowl has like 116.5 or 8 or something like that defense. I don't have it written down, my bad. But it did have less than the 117.58 defense. And when I was going through a whole bunch of different IV and, matchup scenarios, I was noticing that it was picking up a ton of losses where the Noctowls I was looking at that had that higher defense were winning. So at the end of the day, you can take this for what it is. But I definitely have a lot of faith in the 117.58 plus defense. Now, if you do want to pursue even higher defense stats on your Noctowl, there were 3 points that stood out to me that were further beyond the 117.58. First, we have the Toxicroak defense breakpoint at 119.75 plus. This is up against the rank 1 low attack Toxicroak, and personally, I don't find a whole lot of merit to it. For one, Toxicroak only flips the 1-1 shield scenario with the breakpoint. In order to do that, they have to bait with the Mud Bomb and land the Sludge Bomb, so it's not a very good matchup for Toxicroak to begin with. And with a ever so slight attack weight, the defense breakpoint becomes unchaseable for Noctowl. It is very hard for Noctowl's defense to keep up with Toxicroak's attack stat, so I don't really see a whole lot of value in that defense breakpoint. Another one that stands out is the 120.74 against basically the max stat product Vigoroth. Doesn't flip any matchups, but if you are looking to get an even bulkier Noctowl, not taking more damage from Vigoroth could be very useful, could prevent you from getting farmed down and maybe reaching another Sky Attack. So something to keep in the back of your mind, but once again, not that important. And then once again, it's up against the low attack stat Vigoroth, so your mileage may vary there. And then the final defense stat is the 121.23 defense stat, which gets a defense breakpoint on Powdered Snow and Charm Alolan Ninetales. Now for this Alolan Ninetales, we're talking about hatch IVs, so a floor of 10, so a more attack weighted Alolan Ninetales, which does mean that if it is a trade IV Alolan Ninetales, it probably will have a lower attack stat, and you could get away with having a lower defense stat to get the breakpoint. Against Powdered Snow, it allows you to flip the matchup when you're at a shield advantage, and against Charm, it can potentially allow you to take on the 2-2 shield scenario. But this defense stat here is basically the rank 1 defense on Noctowl. Like the rank 1 stat product Noctowl has this defense, so your propensity to get like an attack weight and this defense is pretty low, all things considered. So overall, if you're sitting at 117.58, you're probably safe. But if you do need a reason to pursue higher defense stats, there are some situations that it could help you out in. And then finally, we have the HP stat. And what I found was 167 was generally the safe lower limit for Noctowl, especially in the mirror matchup. When it comes to mirror matchups that don't end on CMP, they end on the fast move, having 167 HP still allows you to maintain the tie, which is important because if you got 166 HP, well then you lost and your opponent won because they KO'd you by just 1 HP there. Now, when I was running some big matrix sims comparing the attack and defense weight that I'm looking at for Noctowl with various different HP stats against different IV composition opponents in different shield scenarios, I was finding that 168 was coming up often enough for it to be worth mentioning that it is slightly safer for Noctowl to have 168. but I would feel perfectly fine with a 167 HP stat Noctowl. What I also noticed was 166 HP was markedly worse, so having at least 167 HP does appear to be important. For higher HP stats beyond that, it can help out in uneven scenarios and different situations. Obviously, having more HP is always going to be better than having less HP, but when you're trying to balance an attack stat, a defense stat, and an HP stat, you got to make some cuts somewhere, and I feel like cutting down to 167 or 168 HP is perfectly fine. Now the time you've been waiting for, the canned PvP IVs, and here we have PvPIVs.com. In the description I do have this unique link that will take you to this table showing you the top 103 Great League IV spreads for Noctowl, featuring the attack weight, the defense weight, and the minimum HP cutoff. So yeah, there's 103 here. Obviously the ones that, have the higher stat product are going to perform better than the ones that have the lower stat product. But yeah, here they all are. If you want to ogle them, link in the description, of course. And if you are like, Ryan Swag, this is using the 105.06 attack weight, I feel more comfortable with the 105.38 attack weight, well then you can modify that here. You just go 105.38, boom, table updates. Now it's curated to that higher attack weight. Maybe you feel like 168 is way better than 167. Well, boom, there you go. Changes the table once again. So you can always customize this table yourself to fit your needs based off the numbers I'm talking about in this video. Now when it comes to the lower attack stat spreads for Noctowl, two splits that I'd like to highlight are the rank 5 and the rank 2. When it comes to the rank 5, which is the 214-12 on the Noctowl there, it has a 104.8 attack stat, which gets the breakpoint on most Galar Stunfisk and could reasonably get the attack breakpoint on slight attack weighted Azumarills. So if you do have the rank 5, that is a kind of a thrifty version to build for the attack weight, but you do get the full defense and HP benefit of being like the super high stat product Noctowl here. And then I also want to highlight the rank 2, the 0-15-15. If you're going for like the low attack stat, you just want high bulk going on, the rank 2 does have higher bulk than the rank 1. The rank 1 is the 1-14-15, so it has slightly higher attack, but slightly lower defense than the rank 2 has. Rank 2 has the bigger defense, so it is the tankier Noctowl if you want to pursue a tankier Noctowl. At any rate, that's all I gotta say about Noctowl here. If you want to reference any of this information in a text-based format, of course, check out my article on GamePress, the Noctowl PvP IV Deep Dive. And if you got any questions on this content, of course, comment below, let me know what's up, and I'll be happy to help you out. And if you enjoyed this kind of content, you want to see more like it, well, make sure to subscribe to SwagTips. SwagTips. I'd also like to give a shout out to these Patreon supporters. If you want to support Swagman on Patreon, link in the description. So you can customize based off the numbers that I'm talking about here on PvPIVs.com and see what the good PvP to PV